right. All right, that'll do. Chapman, circuit. I'll be watching. Gordon Halligan.
Good morning. Commander Douglas.
Inspector Miskin.
Lady Ursula phoned. I'm to give all necessary assistance.
Yes, I'm surprised you're not at Camden Hill Square.
Well, I phoned him when I heard the news. Lady Ursula said that there was nothing I could do. I might as well stay out of it while I can. She won't be needing a chauffeur today.
Tell me, is this a regular activity for you?
It's how I choose to spend my free time, putting something back.
You don't have a family, Mr. Halliwell?
I had a wife and daughter. They're both dead. How about you, sir? Are you married?
I had a wife and son. They're dead, too.
Well, if that question was none of my business, neither is my wife and daughter any of yours. All right, Chapman! Lead him in! Fetch the other lot out. My family drowned at sea.
I'm sorry.
I come here to see a friend. She's the wife of a mate of mine who was killed in a fall. She's a housekeeper. She's got a bungalow in the grounds. There's also a son. He's only a kid, really. But she feels it's good for him to have a man around the place from time to time. But I come here for the mother, not the boy.
What's your friend's name, Mr. Halliwell?
Oh, no, sir. She's had enough to put up with this last couple of years without the police bothering her.
How long have you worked at Camden Hill Square?
5 years. Major Hugo put me forward personally when I left the regiment. He knew I'd suit.
Suit whom?
His mother. Lady Ursula pays my wages.
And lets you use the car?
Well, yes. My own's in for the service.
Did you know Major Hugo well?
I was his company sergeant major in Germany and Ulster. I knew him as well as anyone.
And what about Sir Paul?
What about him?
Did you get on well together?
How could we? I was his brother's man. He got his brother's fiancée, his brother's house, his brother's money, and his brother's title.
But not you?
No, he didn't take me over. And it reminded him every time he saw me. I didn't cut his throat for him.
You're assuming it was murder?
I'm assuming that a CID commander and an inspector wouldn't drive all this way just to discuss suicide with a chauffeur. Have you finished with me, sir?
Was the day he died in any way unusual?
Not to me, it wasn't. All right, now form up in 3 ranks. Pull yourself together. Stand still.
What time did you leave London Tuesday night?
10:15, 10 after the worst of the traffic.
We'll need a full statement from you. When do you return to Camden Hill Square?
Tonight, sir.
You keep yourself fit, don't you?
Fit enough to kill a politician and a tramp, no problem. I was trained to use my hands. You can rely on them. Blades are for amateurs. I didn't like him, but I didn't kill him. And if I knew who did, I'd probably tell you.
It was a church road. Discovered bodies early Wednesday morning.
Come on, you lot. Clear off. Come on, get out of it. Sorry, Father.
What do they all want?
If they'd seen what we saw, Father.
Some of them wish they had. By Scotland Yard's newest branch.
I used to feel safe here.
The Archdeacon has given permission. He says best to get it all over with.
I'm worried about Darren. He hasn't been back. It was a dreadful shock.
He's young. He'll recover.
Hope his mother's taking good care of him. If only I knew where he lived.
Perhaps the police would tell you.
Oh, no. No, I couldn't ask. I lied to my landlord when I took him home with me the first time. I told him I was a friend of his mother's. Why does he make me feel guilty for being fond of a child?
Wouldn't it be better to go home now and rest, Miss Walton?
I'm afraid here and I'm afraid at home, Father, and that's the truth.
It'll pass, God willing.
And there's something else. I tried to be calm, very calm and accurate when Mr. Dalgleish, the commander, spoke with me. But I couldn't bring it all back to mind. And now, when I try to remember, it all slips and slides away.
How are you sleeping?
But I try. I have my hot milk and biscuit and sit quietly before I go to bed. But I hear the noise of the city and see the orange street light. And I think We're built on coal, smouldering. Hell is all about us. Nobody knows or cares.
You should be at home. I can hear your confession another morning.
Oh, no. Now, please, Father. Life must go on.
Maybe you should see the doctor.
I'm not going mad.
To help you sleep, that's all.
Last night, after comfort, I read the parable of the Good Shepherd from St. Luke. But I suddenly thought, Shepherd was only doing his job, making sure not one sheep escaped branding, shearing, and slaughter, making sure not one of them escaped.
Paul Barone asked me about the parable of the rich man and the camel. He wanted me to affirm something, but I failed him. I thought a lot about that.
But it could have nothing to do with his death, Father.
How do I know that? I failed him. He was a special man, a complex man. If I could have answered well, and then perhaps the parable is false in any case. A lie to content the poor in having nothing. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry. Don't be afraid.
I was brought up to be afraid, Father. It's how my father taught us. It's a lesson I don't know how to unlearn.
Excuse me, we can't get into the vestry, and I'd like candles lit on the altar. Then maybe we can check a few facts.
Get out of here, sir. Go on, get out. This is a house of God. It is not your circus.
Dad. Got a bus to the turning and walk from there. Out of puff. Not used to it anymore.
We thought about you when we heard on the wireless. To take life like that. Even his own life.
They don't know for sure if he did.
We tried to tell you not to get mixed up with those people, but you wouldn't listen. They're not like us.
Anyway, here I am. Hello, Grandad.
Have you come to stay?
Not long.
You're not in trouble, Teresa.
The job's finished at the house. They want me back at Pembroke Lodge.
You don't have to go. You can come home.
He was my friend. Now he's dead.
What'd she say?
Give us that. Come on.
It was a big shock, Gran.
Come along inside. Isn't the garden looking nice?
Excuse me.
We're looking for a Mr. Swain.
You found him. You must be Commander something who phoned. Do you mind if I just finish this?
Commander Dalgleish, I prefer to have your full attention.
Right, fine.
This is Inspector Wilson.
Hello.
Hello. What are you doing?
I'm just getting the rehearsal room ready.
I meant the play.
Oh, sorry. The Country Wife. It's good, clean stuff, if you like infidelity.
Are you acting in it?
Only just. I have 4 lines. I'm a servant called Boy. He doesn't have a proper name. Actually, I think I'm rather a good actor, but there you go. You don't want to hear my professional problems.
Did you know your brother-in-law well?
I said that none of us did, really.
Miss Matlock, the housekeeper, told us that you were at Camden Hill Square on Tuesday night between 7 and 11.
Yes.
Was anyone else there?
Evelyn, Miss Matlock, and Lady Ursula was up in her lair.
Why, lad?
I'm sorry?
It's a derogatory word. I just wonder why you were using it.
All right, forget it. Lady Ursula Brown was in her room.
Who else?
Well, Halliwell, the chauffeur, I suppose he was in his flat over the garage.
Anyone else?
Not really, no.
What's that mean?
Well, Teresa Nolan.
Teresa Nolan?
Yes, Lady Ursula's nurse. She must have been there somewhere, although I didn't see her.
Does she live in the house?
No, I don't think... She was on the way out already, if you know what I mean. No, I think she's already left.
And you wouldn't know where?
No, I don't know, but I'm sure somebody in the house would be able to tell you.
Was your brother-in-law there?
No, Paul wasn't there, nor was my sister, whom I'd gone to see.
For what reason?
Just to cheer her up and to catch a bath and a bite to eat.
Why'd she need cheering up?
Well, she's an outsider. Outsiders have a bad time in that place.
Well, even after 4 years of marriage?
Particularly after 4 years of marriage to support. Look, Commander, I was not Paul's ideal choice as a brother-in-law, but I couldn't have cut his throat.
Why not?
Well, it would just be impossible. I'm not Halliwell, who's been trained to creep about up cliffs with a knife between his teeth. That's not my idea of amusement.
Unlike Scrabble.
What? Oh, yes.
Who won on Tuesday night?
Is this the catch question? Evelyn, she usually does. Yeah. She got Zephyr on a triple, and she beat me 380 to 200.
Tell us about Diana Travis.
Well, what about her? She's dead. I don't see what this has got to do with Paul. I mean, he hardly knew the girl.
Why did you go to the Black Swan that day?
I've been through all this at the coroner's inquest.
Yes, I know, but, well, tell us again.
It was my sister's birthday, and we thought we'd join her.
Of course. And you drank and then went for a swim?
And Diana drowned. End of Diana. End of story.
Are you close to your sister?
Yes.
Sounds as though she's very good to you. You're lucky.
Well, you see my sister in that house. You see the money, you see the clothes. You think it's always been that way, don't you? Well, it hasn't. She wasn't born into that house. And anybody who knows what she's had to put up with to get what she's got wouldn't begrudge her a single penny of it.
Thank you, Mr. Swain. Best of luck with the play. When's the first performance?
3 weeks on Monday. I'll tell you something about Diana Travers. She wasn't an actress. She told everybody she was, but I found out on the way to the Swan. She hadn't been in drama school, wasn't in the union, hadn't got an agent. She didn't know anybody.
Thanks. No.
Why?
No.
It might be important.
Sit down.
You can't just let a phone ring on and on. You're the man. Say something.
No, Gran. Please, Gran, no.
As a result of the recent report of the Prime Minister on escalating and increasingly sophisticated Come in.
Sarah Barone, sir.
Thank you, Inspector.
And Ivor Gowland.
What, together?
He acts as if he's in charge of her.
You know who he is?
Marxist, isn't he?
The last of the famous student activists. The Just Rebellion was only round the corner. One last push, and God help you if you were in the way. That was Mr. Ivor Gowland.
What do you want me to do with him while you talk to her?
Where are they now, downstairs?
Outside.
I'll come on. Miss Barone? I knew your father. I'm sorry about his death.
Thank you. This is
Mr. Ivor Gowland, yes. We don't read so much about you these days.
Even the press eventually gets tired of lying.
You still in politics?
I'm a community social worker.
Are you advising Miss Barone in that capacity?
Well, I'm here at her request, if that's what you mean. She is entitled to representation.
Legal representation? Is this what you wish, Miss Barone?
Yes.
Inspector.
You'd like to go?
Please. Sit here. Thank you for coming to see us. We would have...
First of all, I want to make it quite clear that Miss Barone and I were together the whole of Tuesday evening, the night that her father...
Yes?
We ate there. We never left. We parted next morning. Secondly, Miss Barone has the right to know whether this is a murder inquiry.
Oh, I asked Miss Barone here to talk about her father.
Please, was my father murdered?
Well, we can't be sure yet. We're still waiting on the results of tests.
You're not telling us someone of your rank would be interested in the murder of a tramp, are you?
Harry Mack's death may not be of shattering significance, but it was of importance to him. And I would have thought to a community social worker. Miss Barone.
Yes.
Thank you for coming to see us. We would have been pleased to have called on you.
I prefer it this way.
Miss Barone has nothing to hide.
I know this must be very painful for you, and I'm sorry we do have to ask these questions.
Just ask the questions.
Have you recently seen your father? Did he tell you anything that could be relevant to his death?
Look, I'm not going to pretend. You know perfectly well my father and I were estranged.
Oh, well, why should that be?
Well, what's that to you? What relevance is that?
Miss Barone?
Politics, for one. I'm a Marxist.
I'm sure you've got her on one of your little lists.
And what else?
The way he treated my mother. God, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, God, this is ridiculous. It's just the shock. And I'm very tired. I'll be right in a minute.
I don't know if you have any other questions, but perhaps they can wait. Miss Barone is upset.
Yes, I can see that. If she wishes to go, of course she may.
Look, you go. I mean, you've said what you came to say. You've given the alibi. I mean, there's nothing that you can say about my father. You didn't even know him, so why don't you go?
I'll see you.
Just a moment. These are copies of anonymous letters Sir Paul Barone received during the last few months of his life. I'd like your opinion of them.
Seems to me as though there's nothing new here. You could get most of this from any cuttings agency.
Not any cutting agency known to me. They contain confidential material. Well, the intention seems clear: political malice, writing on personal hurt. The letters do have a definite style, you think? Seems familiar.
You're not suggesting Paul Barone cut his throat because he was receiving unkind letters?
Well, what do they say?
If you want to talk to me about them, I suggest you make an appointment, and I'll have my solicitor there. If you need me, Sarah, just ring.
Inspector.
Those letters.
Your father consulted me about them several days ago. We're not sure yet of their relevance to his death. Maybe they have none.
My father seemed to think that we could chat over our political differences for fun, a civilized debate. Well, my creed is a faith, not a game.
Any bequest to you then will present a dilemma of conscience.
Well, anything I get will be put to good use, and it won't be much. And if you think I wish my father dead for £20,000, then Ivor's right and the police are bastards.
I don't think that, Miss Barone.
I just can't believe that... I just can't believe that I'm never going to see him again. I always thought that there was plenty of time and somehow things would be all right in the end. They've all gone now. Him, my mother, Uncle Hugo.
You have your grandmother, your stepmother, and of course your faith.
Look, I don't expect you to understand. I mean, it's your function to shore up this rotten system and cover up what makes it rotten. My father was part of that too. Well, Ivor has been working to show that to people, to point them to better ways, and he's been doing it in spite of you, in spite of all this. I admire that. That is truth and commitment of a sort that you and others like you couldn't even begin to understand.
Yes?
Sir?
All right. Would you excuse me? Sir? Thank you, Mrs. Blake.
How's it going, Adam?
I sent the Commissioner an update half an hour ago, sir.
Yes, I read it. Thought I'd drop by on my way out. Not an official call. Papers are having a field day. Thank God Barone had resigned. Can you imagine the chaos if he'd still been a cabinet minister? So, no voices from heaven? No shafts of light on the guilty one? You've put off tomorrow's press conference.
I want the PM results before I talk to the press. And all the forensic reports, too.
There are a lot of beady eyes on this new department of yours. Not all of them, as you know, sympathetic. The Commissioner's very unhappy about the political element in the case.
Really? Who's pushing?
He's had Downing Street on the phone.
Nothing to do with Downing Street.
First, there was Barone's shock resignation. Everybody braced themselves for the scandal that didn't appear. And then this. Downing Street's line, as usual, is that party confidence is government confidence is national confidence. Suicide. That's what they're saying. Kills the tramp, kills himself.
I don't think so, sir.
Don't always dismiss the obvious. 7 times in 10, it's the answer. You knew him, I'm told. I didn't realize that. You don't feel too close?
No, I don't.
Damn Barone. Why couldn't the man use an electric shaver like the rest of us? You won't change your mind about the press?
No.
On your head be it. How's the girl getting on, Inspector Miskin?
Miskin? Fine, no problems.
You turned down some good men in her favor.
That's right, I did so.
Thanks for the update. Hope you'll get a bit further tracing his movements. After he left his house, he seems to have walked into thin air. Progress, Adam, please. Who have you got in there?
The daughter, Sarah Barone.
I'll tell the Commissioner we had a chat.
Your grandmother's in the study.
There will be a memorial service. I'm making the arrangements.
Well, I can't come. It isn't possible. I'm sorry.
His colleagues expect it, and his friends will want it. I shall be there, and I expect his widow and his daughter to be there with me.
I've told you I can't come. I'll come to the cremation if it's only family, but I'm not going to display myself in some fashionable church.
I would always place kindness above what you call conviction.
Please, I can't come, Grandmama.
Well, don't expect too much propaganda value from the gesture.
It isn't a gesture.
I dare say the message will be clear to those who notice your absence.
What message?
That you hated your father and are pursuing your political vendetta beyond the grave.
I didn't hate him. Most of my life I loved him. And I could have gone on loving him if he'd just let me be. He wouldn't want me to be there anyway. He wouldn't expect it. I loved my father.
Sarah. Sarah, come here, child. No. Hmm?
You don't understand. It would just be...
What?
Just be some privileged club celebrating its own class. The world you grew up in is dead.
Yes, I know. I know.
Miss Teresa Nolan? I'm Adam Dalgleish, Metropolitan Police, CID. Please don't be afraid. I just need to talk to you for a moment.
You like the country, then?
It's a bonus for me, getting out of London.
Paul was like that, too. He told me he could walk nearly all the way to Parliament on grass.
Yes.
Kensington Gardens and Hyde Park.
Green Park.
St. James's.
Were you in love with him?
I don't know. A bit, yes. He was easy for me to talk to.
What'd you talk about?
Oh, everything and anything.
About God?
Sometimes. He said he envied me.
Really? What did he envy you?
My faith. I used to tell him it's easy to have faith.
Easier to lose it, too.
That's what he used to say. He liked simple things. People didn't understand that. I expect that's why he liked me. A quiet, simple life, that's what he wanted. But he couldn't have it. I can't take it in, really. His death and the terrible way he went. I can't stop crying.
He was worth it.
My grandparents, you can't talk to them. They don't understand things.
Are your parents living?
Well, my dad is. He's somewhere in Canada. My mum died just after I was born. Gran and Grandad brought me up. This is my place.
How did you come to work at Camden Hill Square?
Well, after I qualified, I went to Pembroke Lodge. Everybody said I was lucky to get the job. The money's good, too. It's not important in itself, but it gets me away from... gives me some independence.
Yes.
Then... I was ill. And when Lady Ursula needed somebody, just mornings and nights, really, so it was light work, Miss Lampart recommended me. He said it would be good experience.
And was it?
It's a hard house to live in. That's my tree house over there. Platform's still on, do you see?
You said you'd been ill.
I had an abortion 6 weeks ago. I just couldn't.
Your grandparents know?
No, they mustn't. They're very religious.
So are you?
Yes. At Pembroke Lodge, when they lose a child, they celebrate. It's champagne, and thank God that's over, and where would we all be without Mr. Wonderful Stephen Lampart? That's why Pembroke Lodge charges so much. It charges for silence.
Oh, come on. There's sometimes very good reasons for terminating pregnancies.
I know that. My termination, it wasn't anything to do with Sir Paul. He asked me if I couldn't have kept the child. But no. Not the child and the job. And it's so easy and reasonable when you're working up there at the lodge, and it's happened so many times before. There's the other nurses saying how easy it is, how civilized. How you only have to have a quiet word with Mr. Lampart and it's all taken care of. It's not until you get away from the place that... And now he wants me back.
What will you do?
Oh. I'll cope.
Can you see your watch?
It's only 7:30.
How do you know you haven't looked? Sorry.
You don't need to apologize.
You never make a fuss.
What good would it do if Gran needs you?
I have to go over and sort it out tonight, Alan. It's the third time this month some joke has broken into the flat.
Poor old duck. No great pickings in that block, I should imagine.
Well, the social work is going round tonight, so I have to meet her there. Gran won't go out anymore. Neighbour can't always do her shopping, so I have to look in most days. I can't. Oh.
What's Dalgleish like?
You don't have to get up as well.
I'll come and see Gran.
You're a brick.
Dalgleish?
What? Oh, I'm not sure. I don't even know if he likes me. Probably talk too much. But that's his technique, you see. He manoeuvres people into revealing themselves. Then, when he's got them going, he comes on strong. But I'm learning.
Does it matter to you if he likes you?
Yes.
Now, how far back does the Barone family go?
I can tell you that. 1642. Why?
Shakespeare has a character called Barone. It's an uncommon name. Wonder whether old Will might have taken the name from the family, but 1642 is too late.
Which one of his plays?
Love's Labour's Lost. Sounds like you and me these days. When do I get to see you again?
I'm not sure, Alan. The hours on this case could be horrendous, and I'm not pushing for time off after the fight I had getting into the unit.
You don't want them saying, aha, can't rely on a woman. That'd make your day, wouldn't it?
What am I going to do about Gran? The flat's just breaking her up. She cried on the phone today. I have to get her out, she says.
You've done a lot for her already. You spent time with her, had a telephone put in, deep freeze to save her going out.
She hates the deep freeze.
Yes, well, home help, you organised that too?
The truth is, I'd do anything to keep her out of this place. It's terrible, isn't it?
Is that what she wants, to move in here with you?
Oh, yeah, and the social worker eggs are on, but I can't do it, Alan. I can't give up my privacy. I need it.
So hold out against it?
Do you think I'm hard?
Yes and no.
There's Lady Ursula. Queen of all she surveys in her £1 million house, and my Gran with the telly and the smell of old age, packed away on the 17th floor where they break in and thieve. It's not right, is it?
No, it's not right.
What would you know about it? You got it made, tucked away in that posh little private school.
There you are. You are a snob.
I feel so guilty, Alan. But I can't have her here.
Hello. I've come to stay.
Dominic, you have to begin to realize something. A new life is about to open for me. No Hugo, and now no Paul. For the first time, I'm facing a future on my own terms, and I don't want to be tied to anybody else. Not even you.
Well, I'm just here to protect you, that's all. Well, you need somebody on your side.
I've got somebody.
Stephen.
No. No, you wouldn't understand. They'll find out who killed Paul, and then the estate will get settled, and my life begins. Keep out, Dominic. Don't confuse things.
Who did it?
I don't know. A stranger? Some maniac?
Or somebody clever enough to make it look that way. It'd have to be somebody used to slicing through skin and bone, wouldn't it? Do we know anybody like that?
Shut up, Dominic.
Well, maybe it was you. Well, not personally. You're like me. You're simply not capable. I was thinking more of the Beckett syndrome. You know, who will rid me of this tiresome husband? It's lucky you and Stephen have an alibi.
I don't want to think about it.
Yeah, well, maybe you ought to think about it, Barbara. Dalgleish and his policewoman tracked me down today, and believe me, they're very interested in you. You better be careful.
Do you know where Paul's gun is? The pistol he keeps in the safe.
What do you want a gun for?
I don't. It's just I was looking in there on Tuesday morning and I saw the gun had gone.
Tuesday morning? Have you told the police about the gun?
No, of course not.
No. They might wonder what you were looking for in his safe just 6 hours before somebody almost cut his head off. Did you find the will? Was it satisfactory?
Yes.
That's wonderful. So screw our lousy parents, eh? Did you ever think about them? Do you? Barbara?
I heard them talking the night they split up. They were trying to decide what to do with us.
Go on.
We sounded like bits of furniture. Or pets that had become a nuisance. You were the real problem. She said a boy's place is with his father. And he said that was okay by him if she could remember who the father was. Listen, Dominic, they gave us nothing. Worse than nothing. That's why it's all got to come right for me now. You can stay 2 nights.
I'll take Paul's room.
You'll take the spare room.
I'd be near you if you were frightened.
I'm not frightened.
Then you must know who's got the gun. I'll tell Evelyn to make up the bed.
It's Mattie. Why do you insist on calling her Evelyn? She's a servant.
Considering our humble beginnings.
Oh, forget it all. It was another life.
Can't forget.
It was a long time ago.
Well, it's not that long. And even you can't just blink twice and abolish all of that.
He died between 7 and 9. Earlier rather than later, I'd say.
Any sign of struggle?
No sign whatsoever. No complications in the cause of death. In his case or Harry's. Clear cut of the thyrohyoid ligament. From the skin to the spine. Sorry, Adam. I'm not being helpful. Your friend was fit and healthy. No reason why he shouldn't have lived to a ripe old age.
Unlike Harry Mack, I imagine.
Oh, Harry was in better shape than you might think.
Really?
His liver was none too good. But he could have survived a few more years' abuse before finally giving out on him.
Tell me this at least. Do you believe that Barone, with 2 cuts to his throat already, could have moved across that room and killed Harry?
I could say it was improbable.
Impossible, surely.
I couldn't say that. Not even for you. Remember the textbook case? The suicide who practically severed his head, yet retained consciousness long enough to kick the ambulance man downstairs?
But if he killed Harry, why did he then go back to his bed?
Natural associations. Bed, sleep, death. You're the poet, Adam. To die, to sleep, no more.
They were both murdered.
I believe you. But it'll be the devil to prove. My report won't help much.
If Barone did decide to kill himself, I'd have expected to find a note, some attempt at explanation.
The fact that you didn't find it, Adam, doesn't mean he didn't write it.
Kynaston won't rule out suicide in his report. Unofficially, of course, he agrees it was murder. What are you doing here? What have you got?
We found the estate agent.
Good, where?
Kensington Church Street. Barone left there at 11:30. He'd ordered a valuation of the house.
Well, it's hardly the action of a man thinking of killing himself.
I also phoned Rentham Green, arranged the interview with General Dyson, who's vice chairman of Barone's constituency. Apparently, he rang Camberwell Square on Tuesday night at 8:30 to talk to Barone. A man answered the phone and said, "Hello, this is Dominic Swain." Then said nobody in the house knew where Barone was.
Kynaston puts the time of death between 7 and 9.
We got statements from the McBrides saying that they noticed water coming from the church washroom as they passed on their way to the local at 8 o'clock.
Well, we still know nothing of Barone's movements between 11:30 and 5 o'clock when he turned up at the church for evensong. That's 5.5 hours unaccounted for.
Right. I got Tracy and Melvin waiting at the yard for you.
Who?
You like Tracy and Melvin?
Don't go up the towpath as a habit, really.
Just sometimes, not often, you know.
Yeah, just when we want, you know, a bit of privacy.
Well, you're sure it was Tuesday evening, 3 nights ago?
Tuesday, yeah, Mel?
Yeah.
And at 7 o'clock, you said?
Yeah, because I just checked my watch. I was worried about not getting home too late. I mentioned time. Remember Melvin?
Yeah, yeah.
See, Dad doesn't approve of us seeing so much of each other. He said he'd kill us if he ever found out. Dad's strict. He's a prison officer. So, I mean, I know it's wrong to lie, but I've been telling him I go to evening classes 3 times a week when really I'm with Melvin.
And you walked past St Matthews on the way to the canal at 7 o'clock?
Yeah, that's when we saw the car, the shiny black Jaguar.
Because it looked like someone had just polished it.
Really? Yeah. Do you remember the registration number?
I think it was an A-reg, I'm not sure.
When did you realise you walked past the church at the time we were interested in?
When we'd heard what had happened, everybody was talking about it.
And but you waited till now to come and tell us?
Well, it's because of my dad, you see. He'd find out then about me seeing Melvin in the evening classes. I said to Melvin, look, we have to tell. I mean, if they never find out who did it, if he kills again, we'd never forgive ourselves, would we, Melvin?
No.
Well, we're very grateful. I hope neither of you get into too much trouble about it.
Oh, it's different now. We're engaged. I mean, Dad won't mind so long as there's no scandal.
Oh, congratulations.
Oh, thanks, Mum. I'll go along with him. I mean, it's all for the best, really. I mean, Melvin wasn't too sure at the beginning, was you? No. But it's all for the best. It's lovely coffee.
Divorce wouldn't have harmed his career, not these days.
Wouldn't have helped it. Anyway, let's just say it has not made me respect him.
You don't have to. You just have to find out who killed him.
Oh, no problem. We got 6 confessions already. Yeah, 4 we've met before. All certifiable. 1 did it to protest against Tory policy on immigration. 1 because Barone seduced his granddaughter.
The one, I suppose, was actually on orders from the angel Gabriel.
That's something I just don't understand. Religion. What's your Michael?
Do you pray?
No.
Never felt the need?
No.
You ever talked about this side of the case with Dalglish?
I tried to once. He said, the real world is difficult enough, Inspector. Let's try and stay in it. So I shut my mouth.
I'd like to have known how he felt.
Come on, Gran, it's me. Open up. If you had a kid, would you have it christened?
My family have been christened for 400 years without coming to any harm. Why break the tradition? Everything with you is a matter of class, isn't it?
That's not true. Have a look around. 18 years I spent here. You got the chain on, that's good.
Hello, Gran.
Well, are you going to let us in?
I can't do the chain, not with my fingers.
Yes, you can, Gran.
Well, wait then.
How are you, Gran?
How would you be? This is the fourth time in 3 months. I can't take much more of it, I tell you.
We should keep you going, Gran.
What they say about the lift?
Oh, they only tell
Put it in the kitchen, Alice.
Is that Commander Dalgleish? No, it's got to be him. He said this was his private number. Can you tell me his number at home, then? I see. No. Miss Matlock,
You can't come here at this time of night.
I need to see Lady Ursula.
She won't see you.
Yes, she will.
What are you here for?
I'll speak to Lady Ursula.
Wait! Nurse Nolan is here. I said you wouldn't see her. Go up.
I'm back, all right?
Miskin.
Must come as a bit of a shock going into labour in a place like this and finding there are moments even Stephen Lampard can't save you from.
Oh, I'm sorry to keep you waiting. Please, come this way.
Thanks.
Please, sit down.
Thank you.
Well, I know, of course, why you're here. It's an appalling business. I still can't quite believe it. Well, I suppose all relations and friends tell you that. Brutal murders, the sort of thing that happens to strangers, not to people one knows.
How did you learn about it?
Well, Lady Barone telephoned me just after your people brought the news. And as soon as I was free, I called in at the house. I wanted to offer whatever help I could to her and Lady Ursula. And what do you want of me, Commander?
I'd like to talk to you about Paul Barone.
No, what aspect of Paul Barone? The next Prime Minister but one?
You don't think that was a serious possibility, then?
No, he hadn't the fire in his belly. Well, you want to know about Paul? All right. I think that he looked back at his life, at what he'd achieved, and ahead to what he could hope for, and found nothing that he liked. He had a daughter who despised him. He lusted after his wife, but he didn't love her. I think that Paul needed an excuse, Commander, a reason for chucking it all. And what better reason than the voice of God telling you personally that you're on the wrong track?
I see. Did you?
And more generally, Paul suffered from what I choose to call the tyranny of success. I hear it all the time from the husbands. You know, they sit where you're sitting now, and ostensibly they've come to talk about their wives, but they're the ones with the problem. They can't win. They spent most of their youth working to qualify, and most of their young manhood striving to succeed. The right wife, the right house, right school for the children, right clubs, and for what? More money, more comfort, bigger house, faster car. And they don't even get much of a kick out of that. But there's still another 20 years to go before retirement. When overnight, they're nobody. The walking dead.
That's a depressing picture.
Oh, I hear about it all the time from their wives. And the wives suffer too.
Did Lady Barone suffer? She's your cousin, I believe. You must know her fairly well.
Well, for the past 3 years, we've been lovers. You must have found that out by now.
Did her husband know?
Yes, of course he did. Husbands usually do. But Barbara never locked the door against him. She liked the reassurance that Paul was still suitably enthralled.
And was he?
Yes, I should think so. Look, Commander, all this seems rather oblique to a murder inquiry, and I'm a rather busy man.
The body of Teresa Nolan was discovered early this morning in Holland Park.
How did she die?
An empty container of analgesic tablets and a half-empty bottle of vodka were found by her side.
Poor girl.
We know about Miss Nolan's pregnancy and its termination. Now, did it occur to you that the child could have been supported?
Yes, to me and quite a number of other people, I imagine.
What were your movements last Tuesday?
No?
Yes, your movements. I mean, what did you do? From, say, midday.
Well, from 2 until 5, I was operating here. Barbara arrived at about 4 by cab, and we had tea in this room. And I have a small private flat upstairs where we spent time together. I changed, and we left for the restaurant just after 8. The night porter saw us go.
So Lady Barone arrived here at 4?
Yeah.
And you finished operating at 5?
Yeah.
Well, what did she do until you finished?
Well, she was in the theatre watching.
Lady Barone attended an operation?
Well, it isn't uncommon.
I mean, is that something she often does?
It's something she has a fancy for from time to time. Excuse me.
You wait here.
Good morning, Lady Barone.
Good morning. Is Mr. Lampard here?
He's in his consulting room. He had somebody with him.
Police?
Yes.
How long have they been here?
About 10 minutes, Lady Barone.
Is it Commander Dalgleish?
Yes.
Thank you. Halliwell, will you drive round to the side of the house?
Will you look where you're going? I'm just not in the mood for Dalgleish, that's all. This'll do. We'll wait here for a while. You never have anything to say to me, have you?
Worried for your boyfriend?
Please remember, you're only the chauffeur.
Not yours.
It's enough, Halliwell.
Why, what will you do? Report me to Lady Ursula? I'll say you were lying. Which one of us would she believe?
I'm not your enemy.
You want to be my friend? That's a change.
My husband's death makes everything change.
Well, no one could be more flexible than you, my lady. Hugo Barone's fiancée, Paul Barone's wife, Stephen Lampard.
Shut up. It would have been different if Hugo had lived, you know that. You saw us together, we were a good couple. You could help me. For the Major's sake.
There isn't anything here belonging to Miss Nolan.
She left nothing in her room.
No.
Did you see her again after she left the house last night?
No.
You don't seem surprised or upset to hear of her death.
I'm never surprised by the things that people get up to. Why should I be upset? She was nothing to me. This way, please. Come in. Commander Dalgleish and Miss Miskin.
Good morning. I believe you already know of Teresa Nolan's death. Now, what can you tell me about Miss Nolan and her stay here?
In what way is this relevant to my son's death? She was here for scarcely 5 weeks.
Lady Ursula, your son and Miss Nolan were friends.
I found Miss Nolan a competent and considerate nurse, if a not very intelligent young woman.
How did she come to you?
Through Mr. Lampard. She had nursed my daughter-in-law at Pembroke Lodge.
Lady Barone was a patient there?
Yes, following a miscarriage.
When was this?
It would be a year ago, perhaps.
Who else in this household will have met Miss Nolan at that time?
Well, my son visited his wife, naturally, and so did her brother, Mr. Swain, I believe.
Mr. Halliwell?
He will have driven Sir Paul to the clinic, and he may have taken flowers. I find these questions tedious and far from the point.
Was Miss Nolan happy here?
Happy? She was engaged to care for me, not to be happy.
How long did she stay with you last night?
Not long. She asked for her post here to be continued. She seemed anxious about returning to work at Pembroke Lodge.
But you weren't sympathetic to her request?
I think you have troubled me quite enough about this girl, Commander.
The girl's dead, Lady Ursula. Did you know that when she first came here, she just terminated a pregnancy?
I resent your insinuations. If you're looking for the father, you will find him here.
But you did know about the pregnancy and the termination.
Had I known, I would not have taken her. I've seen too much of death to value life so little.
I know that Miss Nolan was unhappy and worried. I also know she was fond of your son. 3 days after his death, she dies, having had an abortion 6 weeks earlier.
He was not the father.
Can you be sure?
If my son was interested in Teresa Nolan, it was as a daughter only, after he'd been rejected by his own. Teresa Nolan's child was not my son's. He had a mistress long before the girl was known to anyone here.
Who was she?
I know nothing about her, except that she seems to have been intelligent and discreet.
And the relationship continued up to the time of his death?
I have always assumed that it was to her that he went on the afternoon of his death.
Why didn't you tell me about this before?
If a minister of the Crown has a mistress, it is a delicate point. If your own special branch didn't seem fit to inform you, you can hardly expect it of me.
Did your son tell you about this woman?
Yes.
When?
Some time ago.
Now, when would that have been, Lady Ursula?
I'm old, Commander, and my memory has become selective. Oh, I too find that inconvenient at times.
What happened? Suicide, was it?
We can't yet say, Mrs. Mintz. Look, when was the last time you saw Sir Paul?
Just before he went out, the day he died, the Tuesday morning. About 10:30, that would be. In the library. I'd gone in to polish the desk, and there he was, writing in his diary.
You sure it was his diary?
Look, it had different days to the page. It had dates in it. It was open in front of him, and he was writing in it. Think I don't know a diary? Then he put it away in the top right-hand drawer. That's where it's kept.
How do you know where it's kept?
I've worked in that house 9 years.
Did he say anything to you?
Not a lot. He asked me if the years I'd spent at Camden Hill Square had been good years. What do they expect for their money? Love? If he wanted me to say they were the best years of my life, he was disappointed.
What then?
He went out.
Out of the house?
He had his jacket on, he picked up this hold-all bag thing, he went through to the hall, and I heard the front door open and shut. I never followed him to the door to kiss him goodbye, but out he went all right. And that's the last I ever saw of him in this world.
And he put that diary back in the drawer. You're sure of that?
Why? What's all this about the diary? You saying I stole it or something?
No, Mrs. Minns, but it's not in the drawer now.
Well, he never took it with him. Not then, because I saw him put it back.
Can I ask you about Diana Travers? Don't you reckon it's a strange job to choose a girl like that?
Educated, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, the job wasn't badly paid. £4 the hour, and a good midday meal if you're there for it. No tax, unless you'd daft enough to pay it. She said she was an actress after a job she could chuck if something turned up suddenly.
You got on well together then?
No harm in her. Bit nosy. Asked a lot about the family. One day, I found her going through the drawers in Sir Paul's desk. She just laughed. Bold as brass. I liked her. Wouldn't let her stay here if I didn't.
Any of her things still here?
Well, after the solicitors.
What solicitors?
Well, after she drowned, these two chaps turned up. Solicitors, they said, looking after her family's affairs while they were abroad.
And they took away her belongings?
Everything. Probably turned the place over. Even turned the mattress up. Upset me, I can tell you. I told them, I said, you're like a pair of bloody vultures, I said.
They show you any proof who they were?
Gave me a card, calling card, and a letter from their firm on posh paper.
But you don't think they were solicitors? All right, who do you think they were then?
Oh, come off it. Two of your lot, Fuzz. Think I don't know a policeman when I see one?
You got the card and the letter?
Card, letter, receipt. Car numbers on the back of the card.
Yeah.
They were parked way down the road, but I had Mr. Smith's binoculars. What about that tea or coffee?
Yeah, all right, I'd like a cup of tea, please. Mrs. Minns, I'm afraid I've got some more bad news. It will mean more questions.
We'll lunch you at the table where my great-grandfather dined Disraeli. It's only a short drive. Now, here is what we call the surgery, his constituency office. We've kept it locked since Barone's death.
Your people rang. We'd have locked it anyway.
General and I thought it was the right thing to do. Bleak room, I know.
Place of last resort.
9 times out of 10. They've exhausted the patients and their families, the DHS staff, local authority and their friends. Finally, it's here. I vote for you. Do something. Spinster, 52. Dad dead, Mum bedridden at home, getting senile. No hospital bed. Mum wouldn't go even if there were. 2 kids, 19. She gets pregnant. They marry, living with their in-laws in a small terraced house. No privacy, can't make love. Baby is squalling. Family saying, I told you so. No hope of a council house for 3 years or more. Find me a hospital bed, a house. Give me hope, give me love.
Well, some members like all that, of course.
They're the ones who should have been social workers.
Took a lot out of Paul. What we realised.
Ma'am?
anonymous is inscribed to Paul Barone and signed by Millicent Gentle. Well, is she a constituent?
Not to my knowledge.
Never heard of her. Hardly Barone's taste in reading.
A rose at twilight. Inscription's dated May the 7th.
May the 7th?
He turned up here mid-afternoon on May the 7th. That night we heard the girl who worked for him had drowned, Diana or something.
Had that book with him when he came in. I remember him putting it in the drawer.
Did you notice anything else?
Well, yes, his trousers were rumpled, I suppose, and his shirt was grubby.
You knew Paul, Commander. He was usually immaculate.
Absolutely.
Anyway, we knew we ought to mention it when the time came.
Did either of you know where he intended spending his last night?
Well, 6 o'clock certainly. Nobody in his house knew where he was.
How'd you know?
I rang just before 6. I wanted to make an appointment about various minor constituency problems left unsettled.
Well, who took the call?
Lady Ursula. She said she'd look in his diary and ring back.
You certain? I mean, you're certain she said she consulted his diary?
Yes, I'm sure of it.
Did she ring back?
It's about 10 minutes later. She said the next day looked all right, but she'd asked Barone to confirm in the morning.
I phoned the house later, not knowing Frank had already tried.
At 8:30?
Yes, that's right. I spoke to a young chap, Swain. But I've already told your inspector all about that.
Did his resignation come as a surprise?
Oh, absolutely.
How did he seem?
Calm. Too calm. Pretty airy, wouldn't you say, General?
He looked to me like a man released from pain. You can't mistake the look. I'm afraid we were no help to him at all.
Oh, he wasn't asking for help. He'd gone to a higher power for that. Oh, well, he's dead, poor devil. There's no point in feeling bitter. The General can't believe it was suicide. It's not something he'd do himself, so he can't imagine it in his friends.
What do you think?
Well, once I'd have said the same, but now I'm not sure. He was so strange. Nothing seems certain anymore.
This interview is taking place in room 3 of New Scotland Yard on Saturday, May the 14th at 16:50 hours. The interview is between Commander Dalgleish and Mr. Ivor Garrett. Inspector Robbins is in attendance. A full written record of this interview will be made, which you will be asked to read and then sign. When you were last in this building, I showed you copies of certain letters. I'd like your general comment on them.
No, I'll answer specific questions.
Did you read the letters?
Briefly, yes.
What do you think the purpose of sending such letters will be?
I don't know.
What purpose could you imagine?
To alarm Barone? To let him know somebody was aware of events involving him and willing to circulate them?
Well, why not sell the information directly to the press?
Well, money, presumably, wasn't the motive.
So you think the motive was more personal? Perhaps the writer had a grudge. What do you think?
I think it's a bit pathetic, all in all.
Did you write and send letters anonymously to the late Sir Paul Barone?
No.
Did you know Teresa Nolan?
I'm here to answer questions concerning anonymous letters.
Yes, yes. Did you know Teresa Nolan?
I met her once.
Where?
Camden Hill Square.
On what occasion?
A dinner party. Lady Ursula was convalescent. It was her first night down. The poor kid, Teresa, didn't look at all happy, but then Lady Ursula was brought up to know exactly what room people are entitled to dine in. Nurse Nolan was eating above her station and made to feel it.
Intentionally?
Women like Lady Ursula are offensive merely by existing. Intention doesn't come into it. You're all lackeys at heart, aren't you? She's nearly in her dotage, but she's got you lot running round at a... Oh, forget it.
Running round to do what, Mr. Garrett?
To save the family name. Do you know why Sarah hated her father?
No, I can only guess. But you obviously want to tell me.
When Barone's brother was killed in Belfast, Sarah took the call with the news. And when she told her father, she saw on his face, well, she described it to me as a mixture of exultation and hope. The knowledge that Barbara was now available and that he could have her. It was there just for a second, but she saw it and knew it.
That would be shocking if it were true.
Oh, it's true. Are these letters actionable?
Not now.
Well, maybe a woman killed him. Someone he trusted who could get close. It would explain why there was no struggle.
How do you know he didn't struggle?
Well, the press would have made a meal of it. Barone put up a desperate fight. I'd try the widow. She thought she was marrying a future prime minister and she got a religious maniac instead.
Well, what happened?
What the bloody hell are you doing here?
You said you've been out for 6. I've been waiting ages.
You are handing it to them on a plate meeting me here in this state.
The nurse, Teresa, what did he say?
I'll tell you in a minute. Now, where's the car?
It's through here. Well, I'm really afraid.
We can't handle a weak link in the setup, particularly you.
How much does Douglas know?
Nothing. Now, just stay calm and everything will be okay. But stop this bloody phoning me at all hours. My phone or yours could be tapped.
Where were you on Tuesday night, Ivor?
You know where I was.
Yeah, but I mean, it was after 9 when you turned up on Tuesday. You'd never been late for a minute
I
before.
was working. There was a hold-up on the tube. I wasn't at St. Matthew's Church cutting your father's throat.
I mean, if it comes to it, you will let me tell them where I was, won't you? I mean, you'll let me tell them
Look,
where
Sarah,
I was on
just
Tuesday night.
get a
won't you?
hold of yourself, will you? I'm warning you. Teresa Nolan had an abortion a few weeks ago. I assume your father was responsible.
Oh.
Your family contaminates everybody it touches.
Suppose I decide I've got no choice. Suppose I decide I have to tell.
Tell what? Give Dalglish the code names of 11 other people whose real names and addresses you don't even know. Take him to an empty terraced house. We're not stupid. And there's a procedure for treachery.
Like throwing me in a river, like slitting my throat.
Just stay away from me, Sarah. And no more bloody phone calls.
I knew you'd come, sooner or later. At least I know now what happened.
Can you talk about him?
It'll be a relief to hear somebody speak his name. The television newsreader said knife wounds. What wounds?
Is that how you heard from the television?
How else would I hear?
I'm sorry, Miss Washburn. We need your help. You probably knew him better than anyone else.
I thought I did.
I'm sorry.
Was it a quick death?
Very quick. I doubt he felt any pain.
He must have been afraid. It's such an unlikely thing to have happened to Paul. This religious conversion, I mean. He was so worldly.
Did he explain it to you?
One night, he turned up late and told me he'd had an experience of God. He made it sound so matter-of-fact. When he left, I knew I'd lost him. Not as a friend. I didn't want him as a friend.
How'd you come to meet him?
At work, I was a principal in his department. You must know that.
And then when you became lovers, you asked for a transfer?
No, I was due for a transfer. You don't stay long in private office.
Did you meet his family?
He didn't take me home, if that's what you mean.
He didn't introduce me to his wife or Lady Ursula and say, meet my mistress.
How often do you see him?
As often as he could get away. Half day, couple of hours. He'd drop in on his way to the constituency if he was alone.
Tell me, did he ever suggest marriage?
No, nor did I. So no one killed him to prevent him divorcing his wife and marrying me.
Did he talk about it?
Occasionally.
Was he upset by her infidelity? Look, I'm sorry, Miss Washburn. My priority is catching his murderer, not preserving his reputation. I mean, the two things may not be incompatible. I'll try to see that they're not, but I am clear which has to come first. Now, shouldn't you be?
No. For 3 years, I preserved his privacy. Not his reputation, his privacy. And it's cost me a lot. I'm not complaining. I knew the rules. But I'm going to go on doing it because it was important to him. And if I don't, if I answer every intimate question you ask, then all those months of discretion, never being seen together, always taking second place, will have been for nothing. You can't bring him back. So leave me his privacy.
I wish I could.
Paul talked about you, Commander. I expect you'll find his killer. But you'll have to do it without my help. I'm not going to break Paul's confidences.
Thank you. The young nurse who looked after Sir Paul's mother.
Teresa Nolan?
Yes. She killed herself yesterday.
No.
Did you know she had an abortion recently?
I have nothing left to spare for Teresa Nolan, nor for Harry Mack.
Could Sir Paul have been the father?
Commander, I know nothing that can help you solve his murder or throw light on this suicide. For his sake and mine, I refuse involvement. Do you understand me?
If grief were the criterion, Carol Washburn should be the widow.
And she heard about it on the television.
Yes.
Wouldn't you thought there'd be someone Brown could have trusted with their secret who could have... I don't know, broken the news to her. Helped her.
I wonder.
Well,
I think you should have seen her alone.
The inquest tomorrow, Father. I don't think I can go. All those people and the newspapers.
Think of it like a funeral. An occasion that marks the end of a short, painful process. I'll come for you at 10 in a taxi. We'll be afraid together.
Might we see Darren, Father?
Oh, very likely.
Very well, thank you, Father. I see you've got a new cassock.
The old one was falling to pieces. I thought it was right to buy a new one. I had to go and see the Archdeacon. He was very pleasant. Asked me to lunch.
Father, I've got to talk to you again. Go over it all, to try and remember. There's something...
Miss Wharton, don't punish yourself.
But it's to do with Darren, and I don't know how to remember. Please, Father, I've got to talk to someone.
Of course we can talk, Miss Wharton, whenever you want.
Thank you, Father.
Tomorrow, we'll have the whole day together. Last week, before everything, there was less than £5. This is blood money.
It'll be put to good use. Out of evil comes good.
If good is just another part of evil, where can we find certainty? Will I see you at evensong?
I get so tired these days.
Goodbye, Miss Waller.
Goodbye, Father.
Darren!
Yeah?
I've been so worried about you.
I thought you wasn't in there. I've seen everyone come out.
I was talking to Father Barnes.
I've never seen that many at church. Staying a bit good then. The murders. Are you walking?
Yes.
I'll tell you what come of me then.
I don't know anything. I didn't know your mother's address.
Yeah, well, I ain't with me, Mum. Temporary. I mean, they took me off of her. They said I thieved, but I never. I mean, look what they've done.
You look very nice.
I'm being bloody fostered.
There's nothing to be ashamed of.
I am. I bloody am. You don't understand. It's like prison it is.
Oh, Darren, I'm sure it's not
Listen,
like...
will ya? It's just like I'm a little kid. Bed by 9, school regular. I mean, they take me in a car to make sure I get there, and everyone hates me at school. I'm not used to it. As social workers, look at me, look what they've done.
Sorry, I didn't know.
You know, you and me got on okay, though. You look like you need someone to look after you, like I done in the church. Well, I can do that for you. I don't mind. Please.
What are you asking me?
Well, let me come home with you.
What now, for lunch?
And to live.
As simple as that.
Why not? Why can't I come? You've got to help me, please.
Well, if it's official. Police, social workers, let me see.
I thought you was my friend.
How did you get in? I always kept a key just in case. I'm busy now.
Please speak to me, Mattie.
I said I am busy.
He was a good man, my father. He did try to do what was right in his own way. Just tell me that was true, Mattie.
I'll tell you how good he was. He let them put my father in prison for life. For life! Mind. He said to me after he was sorry. Prison was torture for my father. He couldn't take it and it killed him. Paul Barone, the great barrister and expert. He told Daddy they'd never find him guilty. Told Daddy he'd get off on appeal. Told Daddy not to worry, he was working on it. Forget him. Let him die.
But he gave you a home and a job?
You think that I should be grateful for this dog's life I lead? He thought that he was paying for his mistakes. Well, maybe now he has.
Well, read it then.
Dear Gran and Grandad, please forgive me. I can't go on in this pain. I killed my baby.
She had an abortion 6 weeks ago.
Now, my friend is dead. There's no place for me now. You were good to me, but I was no good to you. I thought when I became a nurse, everything would be different. I hope it's not children that find me. Forgive me. And she's just put Teresa?
I'm afraid I'll have to take the letter away with me. You'll have it back as soon as possible.
The policeman who told us he didn't say anything about a letter.
No, it was in Teresa's pocket. Can you talk about it? You brought her up, didn't you?
She hadn't anyone else. We only had the one child, Teresa's father. Her mum died 10 days after she was born. Appendicitis. The operation went wrong. Chance in a million.
And what happened to your son?
He was 21. He couldn't look after a baby. I think he wanted to get away from everything else, Teresa. We didn't really want the marriage. His wife. She wasn't the girl we would have chosen for him, was she, Dad?
We told him.
He wouldn't listen.
And where's he now? Well, Teresa told me he was in Canada. Well, do you have an address for him?
He hardly knew she was alive. Why should he care now she's dead?
What was she like as a child?
I think she must have been lonely. She had to go to school by bus and couldn't stay on late, and there weren't other girls of her age anywhere near.
But she liked the countryside, didn't she?
Yes, but it's so isolated. We couldn't let her go walking there on her own. You never know these days.
Found her in a park.
Under the trees, yes.
After you came hounding her.
She'd only come back for a few days' rest.
Teresa was happy to talk to me, Mr. Nolan. I didn't hound her.
What's it matter? She killed herself, didn't she? First getting the baby, then the abortion, then suicide. What's one more sin when you got that on your conscience?
Well, thank you for your hospitality and patience. Now, is there anybody who would like to be here with you? I'm afraid there'll be more questions. A local officer will call tomorrow. Goodbye, Mr. Nell.
Why didn't she say anything to me when she was here? Why didn't she tell me about the baby? I'd have understood. I'd have looked after her. I could have made Dad understand. That's what hurts. Why didn't she tell me?
I expect she wanted to save you pain.
Dad's so bitter. He thinks she's damned. But I've forgiven her. God can't be less merciful than I am. I can't believe that.
No, I don't think we need to believe that.
up there, sir. Still there. That's where they found it. Came in with the young lady's body. They lifted her out. Put her on the bank up there.
You're a military man, Henry?
That's right, sir. Blasters. I've been dormant at the restaurant 5 years now. Got my army pension, but a bit extra never hurts.
You live in?
No, sir. Wife and I, we live in the village. I thought this business was over and done with, sir. That it was accidental.
I'm investigating the death of Sir Paul Barone. There may be some connection. I was driving back to London. I thought I'd call to see where it happened.
Lady Perrone was lunching here at the time of the accident, sir. But Sir Paul, well, he called to say that he wouldn't be coming.
Is there something else?
I was told it was none of the restaurant's business, sir.
I think you should tell me what happened.
Well, Monsieur Jean-Pierre, he said I shouldn't say anything I couldn't swear to, and he's been good to me, sir.
Well, tell me what you have to say. Don't worry about Monsieur Jean-Pierre.
Well, he was round the front, sir. He was clearing up the grass. Gravel off the driveway, it gets everywhere, and they don't need a doorman at lunchtime. It was then that I thought, no, I did see him, sir.
Who did you see?
Sir Paul.
Sir Paul Barone, are you sure?
I wouldn't mistake him, sir. Shortly before the accident, he was walking down to the river.
But I thought he phoned to say he couldn't join his wife for lunch.
Well, he did, sir. But I saw him 10 minutes before that.
Well, who took the call?
I did, sir. My duty to man the phone once the ambulance and the police had been called. It was Sir Paul. I knew his voice.
Did he say where he was phoning from?
No, sir. It wasn't the village, it was only the one call box. And that's out of order, I know, because my wife tried to telephone her sister to tell her about the drowning.
And there's no other phone box near enough for him to have used?
Not that I know, sir.
Did you see his car?
No, sir. But I wouldn't. Car park's out of sight from where I was clearing up the gravel.
And you say you mentioned this to Monsieur Jean-Pierre?
Yes, sir. And he said it was none of the restaurant's business if Sir Paul decided to keep an eye on his wife.
Mm-hmm. Right, walking along the riverbank?
Well, doesn't seem very likely, sir. Not when you put it like that. There's something else, sir, but it don't make sense neither. He was wet, sir. Soaking wet. Now, I'll swear that he'd been in the river. Only he wasn't walking away from the river, he was walking towards it.
Do many of your customers arrive by walking?
Oh, she has trouble with her walking, sir. Very nice lady. Lives over the river there. I expect she'll be bringing her letters for the postman to collect in the morning. Easier for her than walking around by the village. We keep milk and bread for her in the restaurant. Excuse me, sir.
Thank you, Henry. Thank you very much. Good evening.
Good evening.
Oh, don't be concerned about Makepeace. He's a well-tempered hound.
This is Commander Dalglish.
Navy?
Police.
Ah. Are you here about Sir Paul Barone?
I am, yes.
That good dear man. I was wondering if you'd come.
I'm sorry. This is Miss Gentle, sir.
Millicent Gentle, Commander. How do you do?
How do you do?
Yes? What is it? Yes?